The sound of Brandon's laughter slithered through the crack beneath our bedroom door. Not the warm chuckle I'd fallen in love with years ago, but something cruel and unfamiliar that made my stomach twist. I pressed my ear against the wood, my silk robe catching on the rough grain. "You should see her, man. Playing house like some 1950s sitcom wife. It's almost pathetic how she gave up everything for this." His voice dripped with contempt. "Best decision I ever made, convincing her to quit that fashion nonsense. Makes things so much easier to manage." My fingers curled against the doorframe. "I'm Eve, and until this moment I thought I knew my husband." Funny how 10 seconds of overheard conversation can unravel 8 years of marriage. "Yeah, she actually believes I'm working late most nights." Another laugh. "Trust me, she's not going anywhere. I've made sure of that." The carpet beneath my feet suddenly felt like quicksand. My mind raced through 100 little moments, the suggestions about quitting my design job, the gradual isolation from friends, the joint account he insisted on managing. Each memory shifted, transformed from acts of love into calculated moves on his personal chessboard. I backed away from the door, my reflection in the hallway mirror catching my eye. The woman staring back wore perfectly applied makeup, a designer robe, his choice, and an expression I didn't recognize. When did I become this person? My phone buzzed in my pocket. Maya, my best friend from college. The one Brandon said was too ambitious for her own good. The one who'd started her own fashion line, while I was learning to perfect Brandon's favorite recipes. "Eve, you won't believe what just happened." Maya's excitement crackled through the speaker. "Remember that boutique fashion show I told you about? One of my featured designers just dropped out, and I need someone to fill the slot next month." Brandon's voice drifted through the door again, discussing some business deal I probably wasn't supposed to know about. My free hand clenched into a fist. "Eve, are you there?" "Yes," I whispered, moving further down the hallway. "I'm here. Look, I know things are complicated with Brandon, but this could be your chance. Your sketches were always better than mine, and I've seen what you can do. Just think about it." The front door opened downstairs, Linda, Brandon's mother, letting herself in with her spare key. Another weekly inspection of my housekeeping, no doubt. Her heels clicked against the marble foyer, each step like a countdown to another afternoon of passive-aggressive comments about my domestic skills. "I have to go," I told Maya, hearing Brandon end his call. "But, send me the details?" "Of course. Love you, girl. And Eve, it's time to wake up." I ended the call just as Brandon emerged from our bedroom, his perfect smile firmly in place. "Hey, sweetheart. Didn't hear you out here." He leaned in to kiss my cheek, and I forced myself not to flinch. "Mother's here for lunch. Did you remember to make her favorite salad?" "Of course," I replied, matching his smile with one of my own. "I remember everything." His eyes narrowed slightly, searching my face for something. I kept my expression pleasant, empty, the way he liked it. After a moment, he nodded and headed downstairs to greet his mother. I watched him go, this stranger I'd married, and felt something crystallize inside me. Maya was right. It was time to wake up. But first, I needed to understand exactly what I was dealing with. The fashion show was in 1 month. That gave me 4 weeks to uncover whatever Brandon was hiding, to figure out just how deep his manipulation went. 4 weeks to plan my escape. I touched my wedding ring, twisting it once around my finger. "Game on, darling," I whispered and followed my husband downstairs. The sketch pad felt foreign in my hands after 3 years. I traced hesitant lines across the page, glancing between my work and the bedroom door. Brandon was downstairs watching television, his nightly routine predictable as ever. The scratching of my pencil seemed deafening in the quiet house. My phone lit up with Maya's latest text. "How's the design coming? Remember, simple but bold. Your signature style." I stared at the half-finished evening gown on the page. The neckline was too conservative, the silhouette too safe. Everything about it screamed, Brandon approved. With quick, angry strokes, I started over. The bedroom door opened. I shoved the sketch pad under my pillow, but not fast enough. "What's that?" Brandon's voice carried that dangerous lightness I'd learned to recognize. "Just doodling." I forced a smile. "Couldn't sleep." He crossed the room in 3 steps, reached past me and pulled out the sketch pad. His eyes scanned the page, his jaw tightening. Doodling? This looks rather professional. It's nothing really. Just something to pass the time. Like that lunch with Maya yesterday was nothing? His smile didn't reach his eyes. Linda saw you too at that little cafe downtown. Funny you didn't mention it. My heart hammered against my ribs. I ran into her by accident. We just caught up. Don't lie to me, Eve. He tore the page from the pad, crumpling it in his fist. We talked about this. That world isn't good for you. Remember how stressed you were? How unstable. I wasn't. You were a mess. His voice softened with practiced concern. I saved you from all that. Why would you want to go backward? The words hit like precise little daggers, aimed at old insecurities he'd carefully cultivated. But this time I heard the manipulation beneath the concern. You're right, I whispered, looking down. I'm sorry. He dropped the crumpled sketch into the wastebasket. I'm only thinking of you, sweetheart. Now about dinner tomorrow, Lucas and his wife are coming over. Wear that blue dress I bought you. After he left, I retrieved the crumpled drawing and smoothed it out. The lines were still there, defiant beneath the creases. My phone buzzed again. Maya. Got the fabric samples. When can you come see them? I thought about Brandon's words about Lucas coming tomorrow. Lucas, who was always watching Brandon with that strange mix of envy and knowledge in his eyes. Lucas, who might know things about my husband's secret life. Tomorrow, I typed back. Lunch break. And Maya? I need a favor. The next evening, I wore the blue dress and played the perfect hostess. Brandon beamed with approval as I served his favorite appetizers, laughed at his jokes, kept everyone's glasses full. Eve's quite the homemaker, Brandon told Lucas and his wife. Best decision she ever made, leaving that fashion nonsense behind. Lucas's eyes met mine across the table. Really? I remember those designs of hers winning some award back in college. Quite talented, wasn't she? Brandon's hand tightened on his fork. Ancient history. Not that ancient, Lucas continued, swirling his wine. Saw some similar work at Maya Collins' latest show. Reminded me of Eve's style. The silence that followed was absolute. Brandon's smile became fixed, artificial. More wine. I offered, standing quickly. In the kitchen, my hands shook as I opened another bottle. Brandon followed me in. What did you do? His whisper was razor sharp. Nothing. I met his gaze steadily. Ancient history, remember? His fingers wrapped around my wrist, hidden from our guests by the kitchen island. Don't play games with me, Eve. You won't like the consequences. I thought about the secret bank account Maya had helped me set up that afternoon, about the designs already submitted under a pseudonym, about the flash drive in Lucas's pocket containing files I'd asked him to accidentally leave behind. No games, I said softly. Just dinner with friends. Isn't that what you wanted? He released my wrist, but his eyes promised retribution. We returned to our guests, our smiles perfect, our marriage a masterpiece of deception. The game was changing, and for the first time I wasn't just a pawn on his board. The flash drive Lucas left behind was like a ticking bomb on my desk. 3 hours I'd spent combing through its contents, each new discovery making my hands shake worse than before. Bank statements, email threads, photos, a whole shadow life I never knew existed. My husband wasn't just a liar. He was a thief. The bedroom door creaked open. I slammed the laptop shut, but Brandon's mother Linda stood there instead of him, her perfectly manicured fingers curled around the doorframe. Evangeline, dear, we need to talk. I slipped the flash drive into my pocket. Linda, this isn't a good time. It's about Brandon. She closed the door behind her, her usual imperious manner cracking slightly. And about what happened to his father's company. My throat went dry. What do you mean? I think you know. Linda's eyes fixed on my laptop. Lucas came to see me yesterday. Showed me some concerning documents. The air felt too thick to breathe. Brandon told me the company failed because of market changes. Linda's laugh was bitter. The market didn't empty those accounts. The market didn't forge those signatures. She sank onto the edge of the bed. My husband built that company from nothing. Brandon destroyed it in 8 months. My phone buzzed, Maya calling again. I ignored it. Why are you telling me this? Because he's doing it again. Linda pulled out a folder. These arrived yesterday. Notice anything strange about our joint account statements? I opened the folder with trembling fingers. The numbers swam before my eyes. Transfers, withdrawals, investments I'd never approved. Our savings, our home equity, everything was being systematically drained. He's going to run, Linda said quietly. Just like before. And this time he'll leave you holding the bag. The bedroom door opened again. Brandon stood there, his smile freezing as he took in the scene. Mother! What a surprise! Is it? Linda stood, steel in her spine. Like those surprise withdrawals from Eve's inheritance? My head snapped up. What inheritance? Brandon's face hardened. Mother, I think you should leave. The money your grandmother left you, Eve, Linda continued, ignoring him. Brandon convinced you to put it in a joint account for safekeeping. Did you ever check where it went? That's enough. Brandon's voice cracked like a whip. No, I said, standing. It's not nearly enough. What did you do with my inheritance, Brandon? He stepped toward me, hand outstretched. Sweetheart, let me explain. Don't touch me. I backed away, clutching the folder. Was any of it real? Any of it at all? Everything I did was for us. Like destroying your father's company was for us? The words felt like glass in my mouth. Like mocking me to your friends was for us? His face changed, something ugly surfacing beneath the polished facade. You've been going through my files. Lucas sends his regards. Brandon moved faster than I expected, but Linda was quicker. She stepped between us, one hand raised. Touch her, and I'll call the police myself. You wouldn't dare. But uncertainty flickered in his eyes. Try me. Linda's voice was ice. I've covered for you long enough. My phone buzzed again. This time I answered it. Eve. Maya's voice was urgent. Where are you? The police are here. They need to talk to you about Brandon's accounts. Brandon lunged for the phone, but I dodged, backing toward the door. I'll be right there. Eve. He started forward again, but Linda grabbed his arm. Run, she told me, her eyes never leaving her son's face. I'll hold him here. I didn't wait to hear Brandon's response. I grabbed my laptop and ran, his shouts echoing behind me. In my pocket, the flash drive pressed against my leg like a key to freedom. The inheritance, the company, the lies, it was all falling apart. But as I drove toward Maya's office, toward the waiting police, I felt something besides fear, relief. The mask had finally shattered. And beneath it was nothing but a coward who'd underestimated us both. Mother and wife, the two women he thought he could control forever, were about to bring his whole world crashing down. Maya's guest room felt like a prison and sanctuary all at once. 3 days since I'd fled our house, and Brandon's messages had evolved from threats to pleading and back again. I sat cross-legged on the bed, surrounded by police reports and bank statements, while Maya paced the room. They're freezing the accounts, she said, hanging up her phone. All of them. The detective says Brandon's been busy this morning, trying to transfer everything offshore. I stared at our wedding photo on my phone screen. He's not even denying it anymore. Eve. Maya sat beside me. There's something else. Lucas sent this an hour ago. She handed me her tablet. The email contained a video file, security footage from Brandon's office, dated last week. I pressed play, my finger trembling. Brandon sat at his desk, talking to someone off-screen. She's getting suspicious. We need to accelerate the timeline. Yes, I know the risks. Look, once the money's moved, she'll have nothing. No proof, no resources, nothing. Just like the others. Others. The word echoed in my head as I watched him laugh, discussing my destruction like a business transaction. There's more, Maya said softly. Lucas found a pattern. 3 women before you, all with similar stories. Marriage, isolation, financial manipulation. Then Brandon disappears with everything, and they're left with his debts. My phone buzzed, Linda calling. I answered on speaker. He's here, she said without preamble. At my house. He's looking for documents your father-in-law left behind. Did he find them? No. Linda's voice hardened. Because I burned them years ago, after what he did to his father. But Eve, listen, he's desperate. He mentioned a meeting tomorrow night. Something about finalizing transfers. Maya grabbed my arm. The fashion show preview. It's tomorrow night. I know. I looked at the design spread across the bed. My secret work for the past month, my path to independence. He'll be watching for me there. Then don't go, Linda said. It's not worth the risk. I touched one of the sketches, a dress designed to look demure at first glance, but with hidden strength in its structure. Like me? No, I said. That's exactly why I have to go. But I need your help, both of you. The plan came together quickly. Linda would keep Brandon occupied with false leads about the documents. Maya would handle the show arrangements. And I would be the bait. The detective wants you to reconsider, Maya said after another call. It's dangerous, letting him think he's cornered you. That's exactly what we need him to think. I stood, gathering the evidence we'd collected. A cornered man makes mistakes. My phone lit up with another message from Brandon. Come home, sweetheart. We can fix this. Remember how lost you were before me? You need me. Once those words would have made me doubt myself. Now they just made me angry. What if he suspects something? Maya asked. What if? A knock at the door cut her off. We froze, but it was just Lucas looking exhausted. They found more accounts, he said, dropping into a chair. Hidden under company names. The money. It's not just yours he stole. There are investors involved, people who trusted him. Powerful people. Good, I said, and both of them stared at me. The bigger the crime, the harder the fall. Eve. Lucas hesitated. He's not just running this time. He's planning something else. Something worse. I thought of the wedding photo still glowing on my phone screen. The happy couple, smiling at a future that was built on lies. Let him try. I picked up my latest design. A gown in deep crimson, sharp as a blade. Tomorrow night, everyone will see exactly who Brandon Thompson really is. Including those powerful investors. Maya touched my shoulder. Are you sure about this? I met her eyes in the mirror, seeing not the broken woman Brandon had tried to create, but someone stronger. Someone who'd learned to turn pain into power. Absolutely, I said. It's time to end this game. The lawyer's office felt too small, too warm. I watched her read through the documents we'd gathered, each page turning like a death knell for my marriage. Outside, rain streaked the windows, distorting the city beyond. This is extensive, she said finally, looking up. Financial fraud, identity theft, multiple victims. Mrs. Thompson, why haven't you gone to the police yet? Because he's already moving the money. I handed her another file, the one Lucas had delivered this morning. And because of this, she scanned the new documents, her expression darkening. These threats, they're from the investors he defrauded? They think I'm involved. My voice stayed steady though my hands shook. That's why I need everything to happen tomorrow night. Before they decide to take matters into their own hands. My phone buzzed, another message from Brandon. The house feels empty without you. Come home. We can start fresh. The lawyer, Catherine Mills, according to her desk plate, studied me. The fashion show is a risk. If he suspects anything, he already does. I showed her the surveillance photos Maya's security team had taken. Brandon outside her office, Brandon following Linda. Brandon watching Maya's boutique. He's getting desperate. Then why give him an opportunity to? A knock interrupted us. Linda entered looking pale. They're moving up the timeline. Brandon just called his broker. He's transferring everything tonight. What? I stood too quickly, knocking over my chair. But the police said. The police don't know about his contact in Singapore. Linda's voice cracked. He's using father's old connections. Once that money moves, we lose everything, I finished. Including the evidence. Catherine shuffled through the papers. We could file an emergency injunction. There's no time. I grabbed my phone, dialing Maya. Change of plans. The show needs to happen tonight. Tonight. Maya sounded panicked. Eve, we can't. We have to. Get everyone ready. And Maya? Make sure those investors get their invitations. All of them. I hung up before she could argue. Linda touched my arm. Eve, think about this. If it goes wrong. It won't. I pulled out the flash drive containing Brandon's complete financial history. Because he doesn't know about this. Or about the offshore accounts Lucas found. Or about the other women coming forward. My phone lit up with another message, this time from Lucas. Brandon just left the office. He's heading to the bank. Catherine stood. Mrs. Thompson, as your lawyer, I have to advise against. I'm not hiding anymore. I gathered the evidence files. 8 years I let him control everything. Not tonight. The rain had stopped when we left the office, but thunder rumbled in the distance. I checked my reflection in a window. The woman staring back wore determination like armor. The police will be standing by, Linda said as we walked to our cars. But they can't move until he incriminates himself. I touched the flash drive in my pocket. In front of witnesses. My phone buzzed one final time. Brandon again. I know what you're planning, sweetheart. Don't make me stop you. I showed Linda the message. She gripped my hand. You don't have to do this. But I did. Because somewhere in the city, 3 other women were living with the wreckage Brandon had left behind. Because his father had died believing his son had betrayed him. Because I'd spent 8 years becoming smaller, quieter, less myself. Tonight, I said, getting into my car. Brandon learns what happens when you underestimate the women in your life. Linda nodded, understanding in her eyes. I'll see you at the show. As I drove toward Maya's boutique, where my designs waited like weapons in their garment bags, I thought about Brandon's last message. He thought he was threatening me, but he'd given me exactly what I needed, proof that he knew. Proof that everything that followed would be premeditated. The storm was gathering just like us. The women he'd tried to break, the colleagues he'd betrayed, the mother he'd disappointed. Tonight, Brandon Thompson would walk into a trap of his own making. Drawn by his need to control, to dominate, to win. And I would be waiting, wearing a dress the color of revenge. Maya's boutique hummed with nervous energy as models rushed between racks of clothing. I stood before a mirror, adjusting the crimson dress that had become my armor. Through the curtained doorway I could hear the crowd gathering, investors, police, Brandon's victims, all playing their parts in tonight's performance. He's here, Lucas whispered, appearing beside me. With his lawyer. My hand stilled on the fabric. The money. Transferred 10 minutes ago. To accounts we can't trace. The victory in his voice made my stomach turn. Right on cue my phone lit up with a message from Brandon. Checkmate, sweetheart. Maya burst in, panic in her eyes. Eve, we have a problem. The investors, they're not just angry. They're dangerous. One of them was talking about making examples. A commotion erupted outside. Through the gap in the curtains I saw Brandon working the room. His perfect smile firmly in place. But there was something else. Something in the way certain men watched him, their hands hidden in expensive jackets. This isn't just about money anymore, is it? I asked Lucas. He wouldn't meet my eyes. You should have told me who those investors really were. You knew. Everyone knew. He stepped back. Why do you think I helped you? Better you than me when they came collecting. The betrayal hit like a physical blow. Lucas hadn't been helping me. He'd been using me as a shield. The show starts in 5 minutes, Maya said, her voice shaking. Eve, maybe we should. Run. Brandon's voice cut through the backstage chaos. He stood in the doorway, looking immaculate in his designer suit. A bit late for that, don't you think? Security should have stopped him. Would have stopped him if they hadn't been paid off. Another detail I'd missed, another thread in his web. The money's gone, he said softly, approaching me. The evidence too. Amazing what a good IT team can do with the right motivation. My hand went to my pocket where the flash drive should have been. Empty. Looking for this? He held up the drive. Linda was kind enough to help me retrieve it. Mothers can be so protective of their sons. The floor seemed to tilt beneath my feet. Linda wouldn't. Already did. He smiled, that same smile I'd once loved. She's out there right now, explaining to everyone how her unstable daughter-in-law orchestrated this whole sad affair. The troubled woman who couldn't handle the pressure of marriage, who invented conspiracies about her loving husband. Maya stepped forward. We have copies. No, I said quietly, understanding flooding in. We don't. Because you're working with him too, aren't you? Her silence was answer enough. Brandon moved closer, his cologne suffocating. Did you really think you could beat me at my own game? I made you, Eve. Everything you are, everything you have. It's all because of me. Through the curtain, I could see Linda speaking to the investors, tears in her eyes. Perfect practice tears. The crowd was nodding, sympathetic. The police officers were putting away their notebooks. The show must go on, Brandon whispered. You have two choices. Walk out there, apologize for your confusion, your stress-induced paranoia. Come home where you belong. Or those investors find someone to blame for their losses. Someone weak, unstable, expendable. The crimson dress felt like blood against my skin. 8 years of manipulation, of careful planning, all leading to this moment. But not the moment I'd planned. Time to choose, sweetheart. I looked at Maya, who couldn't meet my eyes. At Lucas, already edging toward the exit. At the crowd beyond the curtain, waiting for the show to begin. Brandon held out his hand, wedding ring glinting under the lights. Come home, Eve. The worst part wasn't the betrayal. It wasn't even the loss of everything I'd built. It was the realization that he'd known me better than I'd known myself. Known exactly how far I'd go. Exactly how I'd try to fight back. Exactly how to turn it all against me. The show was about to start, and I was exactly where he'd always wanted me. Alone, discredited, and running out of options. I took his hand. The spotlight felt like an interrogation lamp as I stood before the crowd. Brandon's hand possessive on my waist. The investors watched with predatory eyes, waiting for my confession, my surrender. Tell them, Brandon whispered, his fingers digging into my side. I stepped up to the microphone, my crimson dress catching the light. My name is Evangeline Thompson, and I need to apologize. The back doors burst open. 3 women entered, each wearing designs I recognized, my designs from years ago. Brandon's grip tightened painfully. Hello, Brandon, the first woman said. Sarah Mitchell, his first wife. The one who'd disappeared to Europe. Impossible, he breathed. You're not real. The second woman smiled. Rebecca Chun, wife number 2. Like the offshore accounts you thought you emptied tonight? The crowd murmured. The investors straightened, suddenly alert. What's happening? Linda demanded from the front row. Eve, what have you done? The third woman stepped forward. Amanda Torres, the last victim before me. We did exactly what you taught us, Brandon. We played our parts. The unstable wives, the paranoid women who'd lost touch with reality. My turn. I pulled away from Brandon's grip. While you were busy destroying my evidence, we were gathering theirs. The flash drive was a fake, Sarah explained, holding up her phone. The real records? They've been with the FBI for weeks. Brandon lunged for the microphone, but I was faster. The money you transferred tonight? It's already frozen. Every account, every shell company. You're lying, he snarled, but his perfect facade was cracking. The thing about making someone invisible, I continued, addressing the crowd, is that they can watch you without being seen. Sarah's been tracking your finances for years. Rebecca documented every fraud. Amanda recorded every threat. The investors were moving now, blocking the exits. Not police in disguise as I'd thought, but federal agents. And me. I turned to Brandon. I gave you exactly what you expected, the weak wife, the easy target. Because you never bothered to ask about my life before you. About my degree in financial forensics, or my internship with the white-collar crimes division. Linda stood, realization dawning. You knew I was working with him. Of course. Just like you knew what he did to Father's company. The difference is, I chose justice over protection. Brandon's hand shot out, grabbing my throat. You think you've won? I still own you. I made you. No, Sarah said as agents surrounded us. You broke us. So we rebuilt ourselves. Together. His grip tightened. I'll destroy you. Brandon Thompson, a federal agent, stepped forward. You're under arrest for fraud, money laundering, and criminal conspiracy. As they pulled him away, Brandon's mask finally shattered completely. This isn't possible. Tell them, Mother. Tell them she's lying. But Linda just watched, tears falling. Real ones this time. I'm sorry, son. I can't protect you anymore. The agents led Brandon past his previous wives, past the investors he'd defrauded, past Maya and Lucas, who stood frozen by the exit. His perfectly tailored suit couldn't hide his desperation now. Eve, he shouted. You need me. You're nothing without me. I touched my throat where his fingers had left marks. No, Brandon. You're nothing without us. The women you thought you'd erased? We became your worst nightmare. We became visible again. The doors closed behind him. In the sudden quiet, Sarah approached me. It's over. Not quite. I turned to the crowd. Now about that fashion show. The spotlight felt different now. Not an interrogation but a revelation. As Brandon's victims took the runway wearing my designs, each telling their story through the clothes I'd created, I finally understood. True revenge wasn't about destroying him. It was about rebuilding ourselves. Maya caught my eye from the back, mouthing, "I'm sorry," but I turned away. Some betrayals couldn't be forgiven, but some victories didn't need forgiveness to be complete. The crimson dress moved with me as I joined the others on the runway. No longer a weapon but a declaration. We were done being invisible. The courtroom emptied slowly, a tide of whispers and sideways glances washing past me. Brandon's sentencing had drawn quite the crowd. Former colleagues, victims, curious strangers hungry for justice served cold. I remained seated, watching him being led away in handcuffs. He turned at the last moment, searching for something in my face. Recognition, perhaps. Regret. Instead, I smoothed the fabric of my dress. My own design, steel gray like storm clouds breaking. Ready. Sarah touched my shoulder. The other wives stood with her. A chain of survival stretching back through Brandon's past. Almost. I pulled out an envelope, the divorce papers finally signed. Just need to deliver these to my lawyer. Linda intercepted me at the courthouse steps, her perfect makeup unable to hide her exhaustion. Eve, wait. I have nothing left to say to you. Then listen. She pressed a key into my palm, old brass familiar. To the lake house. Brandon's father's real records are in the wall safe. The combination is my birthday. I closed my fingers around the key. You knew. All this time you knew where the evidence was. I thought I was protecting him. Her voice cracked. Instead, I helped him become this. I studied the woman who'd shaped Brandon into the weapon he'd become. You know what the difference is between us, Linda? When I saw what he really was, I chose to stop him. You chose to enable him. And I'll live with that choice. She straightened her spine, ever the proper society matron. The house is yours now. Do what you need to with the evidence. The lake house key felt heavy as I walked away. Another weapon, another choice. At my new studio, Rebecca and Amanda were already setting up for our first official collection. Survivor's Designs, we called it. Clothes that told stories of resurrection. The investors called, Rebecca said, sorting through fabric samples. They want to back the full line. And Maya. Still trying to reach you. I picked up a piece of silk, letting it flow through my fingers. The same shade as that crimson dress from the show, but transformed into something else, something stronger. You don't have to forgive her, Amanda said quietly. Or any of them. I know. I draped the silk over a mannequin, pins glinting like tiny daggers. But I'm not designing for them anymore. Sarah arrived with coffee and news. Brandon's appealing the sentence. Let him. I stepped back, studying the draped silk. He can't hurt us now. That's not what I meant. She hesitated. He's claiming you orchestrated everything. That you manipulated us all into testifying. I thought of the lake house key in my pocket. The evidence that could bury him deeper, ensure he never saw freedom again. The perfect revenge, gift wrapped by his own mother. Eve. Sarah watched me carefully. What are you thinking? I pulled out the key, letting it catch the light. One last weapon in a war I was tired of fighting. One last chance to prove I was smarter, stronger, more ruthless than him. Instead, I dropped it into the trash. I'm thinking it's time to create something new. The others understood. We'd all faced this moment. The choice between destruction and creation. Between living in his shadow and stepping into our own light. My phone lit up with another message from Maya. Delete. Another plea from Linda. Delete. The past couldn't be erased, but it could be redesigned, transformed like silk under skilled hands. The show opens in 3 weeks, Rebecca said, returning to work. What are we calling the collection? I touched the silk on the mannequin, feeling its strength beneath the delicate surface. Not armor anymore, but a second skin. Not a weapon, but a testament. Phoenix. I said, picking up my sketchbook. We're calling it Phoenix. The studio filled with the sounds of creation. Scissors cutting clean lines, pins marking new boundaries, machines stitching broken pieces into something beautiful. Outside, the city moved on, unconcerned with our small victories. But we knew. Sometimes the greatest revenge isn't in destroying your enemy's world. It's in building your own.